What is going on, guys? Last Take coming at y'all with my very first video. And today we're going to talk about another hot take and Jon Jones. So recently, as you MMA fans may know, there's been a report that's come out about Jon Jones testing positive. Some of that has been very controversial because USADA is saying that he's tested positive for the same metabolite, which was Turinabol, which is a performance-enhancing drug that was in his system 18 months ago. There's been a lot of talk about that in the past few days or so, that Jon Jones is a cheater and he paid him and Dana got together and paid off USADA. Jeff Novitzky, which is the leading spokesperson for USADA, says that this is the same Turinabol metabolite that was in his system from 18 months ago, but there's been a lot of controversy about that. So they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Dana White, he joins us now in the herd. Kind of slow moving there. Slow moving. We're excited. All right. For people who parachute in and they had Christmas and they were I thought 232 was in Vegas. Now it's in LA. in like a Reader's Digest version.
Yeah.
What the hell happened?
So we had a situation in Nevada where Jon Jones had a metabolite in his system from his previous drug violation in 2016 or whenever it was.
Now, it was Anaheim. I was there when he beat Daniel Cormier, beat DC, right?
Right.
And he won the belt. And then, a week later,
right,
he had to give back the belt, and he was suspended.
After testing positive, exactly.
So it's still in his system?
Yeah, so they're finding the experts and USADA and...
All right, so based off of what I know from the situation, so I've been doing some research on it, and it's not the Turinabol itself that's in his system. It's the metabolite for that. And a lot of people have been saying, how can a metabolite take 18 months to get out of your system? Based on the results from the experts from USADA, from the articles that I've been reading, that this metabolite gets absorbed in your fat, and some of your fat cells that are very close to your liver, which, if a lot of you guys understand the science behind that the fat cells that are closely surrounded by your liver don't start to break down to you like a severe dehydration, not dehydration, but severe starvation. So once you hit severe starvation, then that that fat starts to be broken down. So that's the issue. What's going on with this metabolite? And does the story sound fishy? Yes. Am I saying that Jon Jones didn't take anything? No, I'm not. I'm just saying, based off of what they're saying, it is very hard to believe that a metabolite could take 18 months to get out of your system, but who knows? And these people have a lot of money. They've invested a lot of money into this event. And when you got a lot of money, you can break the rules, if you will. So I'm sure Dana White, if he feels that way, he's going to try to cover that up. And who knows? He could be telling the truth. I'm neutral on this. I don't have a buy-in. I could care less if Jon Jones got kicked off the card, although I would like to see him. But if he did get kicked off the card, that's fine. I kind of stopped watching UFC ever since he got suspended the last time. So we'll see what else Dana's talking about.
Who have done this thing are finding that this type of steroid stays inside your body for a long time. And we're talking picogram levels. And I don't know if you even know what a picogram is, but the way it was explained is if you take a grain of salt and you split it up 50 million times, a picogram is one of those 50 million pieces. So they're saying that this steroid gets stored inside the liver and spits, picograms out every once in a while, that if you're going through the type of testing that Jon Jones is going through, it will. But even if you were...
But even so, man, let's assume that it was a picogram. Like, why would your test be so sensitive to pick up a picogram? Like you said, a picogram is a grain of salt, right? split up 50 million times. Like, come on, man. That's not even worth testing. I know some tests, like in the military, they even, for an example, with marijuana, like that metabolite, there's a grace period for it, that kind of a metabolite. So a picogram won't even, like, even if the test could pick that up, they wouldn't flag you with that. So a picogram is not even enough for you to get a performance enhancing benefit. So this whole process should have been avoided, because if USADA truly knew that he got no performance enhancing benefit from this, and that they wasn't going to suspend him, then what was the point of them bringing this out? Some people argue that USADA did flag him, and now that Dana White is performing some sort of damage control to try to save the event. But I don't know about you. Who knows? When people have money, they can do all kinds of sorts of things, such as what you're seeing here.
It's impossible for you to take that amount, So they have said, all the experts say he did not use again. This is left over from them. That would be double jeopardy. You can't punish the guy twice.
Right.
Another thing, when he says the experts, a lot of people in the public, they want names. They want names. They want to know who these experts are. And the only person that they're bringing out to the forefront right now is Jeff Novitzky. And I don't think that's enough. It's not satisfying to the public. Right now, Dana White and the UFC right now is not looking too good. However, do I still think that the UFC event in LA or Inglewood, wherever they're going to have it at the Forum, is going to be a success? Yes, I do. I still think it's going to be a success. However, but the UFC is looking very shady right now. And like I said, I've remained neutral on it. But, I'm the type of person who follows facts. And if they're saying that he only had a picogram in his system, that's not enough for a performance-enhancing benefit. So there's no need to suspend him, even if he was microdosing. Even if he did take some, it's not enough for him to get a benefit.
For the same violation. So Nevada didn't have time to deal with this right now. First of all, it's the holidays. 4 of the commissioners weren't even in the state. So we had to make a move, and we called venues out here. The Forum in LA was available, and we moved the entire event.
Have you ever done this before? You've done some wild stuff all over the world with this thing.
We have.
But in the process of, was it like a week?
Yeah.
Moving from Vegas to LA, that it sounds like a Southwest flight, but that sounds like so many different things to juggle.
Not just the week, but the week of Christmas.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And, a lot of our staff was out of town for Christmas and things like that. We moved this thing. So tickets went on sale the day after Christmas. We sold over 10,000 tickets in 4 hours. In the last 2 days, we've sold the event out. Incredible.
All right, so how does it affect the actual fight?
Doesn't. But everybody weighed in today. Everybody made weight. Everybody's ready to roll. We'll do the ceremonial weigh-ins today.
Despite all the controversy about him moving the event and this and that, but this just goes to show of how successful of a brand the UFC is. They can have an event planned to go down in Nevada for months, maybe 1 or 2. And then at last minute, the day after Christmas, they can switch the event and go to LA and then have the tickets sold out within a day or 2. And that goes to show what kind of brand that they're marketing. Like, people really enjoy this sport. And to have something like this as a red flag against their brand, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. And people right now, the majority of people, not just in the United States but in the world, they love to appeal to emotion. And if their emotions is telling them that you're a fraud, John Jones is a cheat, they're gonna be swayed that way no matter what evidence you show them. This is why I think that it's imperative that you go ahead and give up these experts' name. Because if you don't, then they're just, every time they see John Jones is pretty much the villain right now. He might as well just abandon that whole, I do this for Jesus and this and that. He might as well embrace the heel. He better embrace the heel, and he better not lose this fight. Because if he loses this fight, right? If John Jones loses this fight, I doubt if Dana's going to deal with him anymore. I doubt if he's going to deal with them anymore. Right now, John is the biggest heel of the UFC. And if you don't believe it, go look at anything dealing with John Jones on his Twitter. Looking at anything talking about defending John Jones on YouTube. Look at the like to dislike ratio. I mean, people hate this guy right now.
And the fight happens tomorrow.
All right, here's the biggest problem. Bones Jones, anybody who's watched it knows he's one of the most freak athletes we've ever seen. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, he's remarkable things that he can do. But
Not just freak athlete, but one of the most skilled athletes for his size, his weight. I mean, John Jones, arguably, is the best MMA fighter to ever step foot in the octagon.
Correct.
twice now. Twice he's tested positive after winning the belt, and twice he's been stripped of it. So I know it's just a picogram, but it's hard to even what you watch this weekend to take it as real, to not go like, well, you know, he won. If he wins, like, yeah, he won, but he's going to get stripped of it later on.
Yeah, well, well, he won't. He should not get stripped of this title. Listen, they don't test for recreational drugs until the fight.
Yeah.
You know, the only way John Jones tests positive or something after this fight, if it's recreational, which would be cocaine or marijuana or any of those type of drugs, because they've been testing him like crazy. When we made the decision to move to California, California said pending a drug test. So he did a drug test with California too and passed. So the only way this guy gets, you know, if he wins and gets stripped or any of that, it's recreational drugs. Listen, you said it yourself. John Jones is one of the greatest athletes in all of sports, period, let alone probably the greatest fighter of all time, but he's also the greatest screw-up.
Well, you've had some guys that, like, this is kind of like part of the business you run, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think we've ever had guys at the level of John Jones. John Jones is the greatest of all time and the greatest screw-up of all time.
there's going to be interesting lists put out on the internet.
And that's going to be a stain on his resume, man. Like, John Jones, had he kept his nose clean, no pun intended, he could have went down as one of the greatest of all time. But people will never give him the props now because you keep popping for steroids. And one has to ask themselves, when is enough is enough? When is it him not taking it on his own will? You know, after all the mess that he's been through, at the car accidents, after doing coke and pop, is it too far? Is it too far of a fetch? I mean, is it too far fetched to believe that he didn't do it on his own will? What if he is cheating? He's the only guy who keeps popping up. And the thing about it, like, John Jones, when he was fighting before he caught his first suspension, USADA wasn't really in there. So it's almost like somebody's like, here, man, hey, take this. It'll be out of your system by the time you're about to get ready to fight. And then once he's about to get ready to fight, it's not completely out of the system. They have these super strict tests, and they're catching like these little small doses in them, which would pass any other test except for these super strict tests. So some people, I could argue for that. Am I saying that's what went down? No, I'm not. I'm saying that it's possible. I'd like to believe that he's I take a man on his own merit. If he say he's not cheating, then he's not cheating. Unless evidence can show otherwise. Evidence is showing that it's in his blood. But is he intentionally cheating? Who knows?
As we speak. Now, he's lost to Gustafsson before, right? Like, this is...
No, he beat Gustafsson. Their first fight was an absolute war. It's the greatest light heavyweight title fight in the history of the sport. And, I expect this one to be good, too.
Style-wise.
Yeah.
Style-wise, what would you expect? What would you expect to see?
Well, here's the thing. You have a guy, John Jones is massive.
Right.
So when John Jones goes in, he has huge
long.
reach, size advantage, everything. He doesn't have those things against Gustafsson. Both of these guys have great chins. They both hit hard. The first time John Jones was ever taken down in a fight was by Gustafsson, which people didn't see that coming either.
Which is true. But I don't know if that's a great accomplishment. I mean, at some point you got to get taken down. This is a good matchup when you look at stylistically. When you look at the reach advantage, John Jones doesn't really have that much of a reach advantage, if any. They're both about the same height. And they both have a pretty good skill set. So, previous fighters against John Jones, they usually just give up a height advantage, to give up length advantage and reach. So he's able to dominate them, sticking on the outside, very similar to how Muhammad Ali used to fight back in the 70s, late 60s. So it's very hard to get in and out on him. But he doesn't have that advantage against Alexander.
But John Jones claims I was at my worst when it came to partying and abusing myself leading up to the Gustafsson fight. Gustafsson doesn't realize that, and I'm going to destroy him this time.
Now, obviously, no more Rousey in the sport.
I don't want to say that's an excuse, but that's something that you definitely don't want to say as a fighter. You never want to make anything that's remotely close to an excuse as a fighter. It's just a bad look, especially in his predicament right now.
WWE, but the Cyborg fight should be one which I know you've piped it as the greatest women's fight that you've ever had. How much different, though, is the attention on Cyborg when and her fight when there was this massive media following? There was the mainstream sports fan became so.
But yeah, they're about to get into the Cyborg and Amanda Nunes. That's another video for another day. So if you guys enjoyed it, drop a like, comment, subscribe if you're new. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.